Okay, this is following session about Ester doll, and we would like to ask more questions. Perhaps you could come forward to us and give us more information surrounding those killings and what happened to you afterwards. And maybe you would like to share once you crossed over, what awaited you on the other side, and how it was for you, the whole experience. So we would invite, we call him Ester Man, to share tonight and talk to us. Please feel free to start talking through this pendulum. And tell us what would you like to share? What would be your message to anybody out there? Because we're gonna publish this.
He says he'd like to share, the message he'd like to share is about the error of his ways.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you say error of your ways, Esther. Could you please describe what happened?
He says when he did the killings, he felt justified because the people he killed, at the time he felt they deserved it. That he didn't feel good about it, he says, but he felt that there was justification.
Okay.
But after he did the killings, his conscience bothered him for the rest of his life.
Okay.
Okay. And he says at the time of his death, he says the dark angels came and took me to a place not to my liking.
Okay, so it wasn't your choice to find yourself in the surroundings that you are now in that place?
No, it says no.
Okay, so it was somebody else actually who decided where you should go?
He says my choice was to go to heaven, not to hell.
Okay.
But I had no choice because I had already made my own bed. Okay. And I had to lie in it, he says, basically.
Did they say that there is a time limit attached to how long you're gonna stay in this place?
He said that they told him that perhaps there was a chance he could redeem himself if he could if he could put things right in a sense. Like he says he couldn't undo what he did, but he says telling others about the errors of his way could help him. He says he believes that.
Esther, tell me one thing. Why did you wait so long to tell others? I mean, couldn't you contact somebody else before me and Gary to tell your story?
He says no, contact was impossible for me till now because my vibrations were very low.
Okay.
And those I could influence on the earth plane were also a very low vibration.
Okay.
And not ones to listen to me.
Okay.
Does that make any sense?
Yes. Yes, it does.
In other words, he would have gotten like a poor quality.
Okay.
He would be talking to someone that you would just know you're wasting your time.
Okay. So you waited for the right circumstances, for the right time, basically, to talk and to pass on this message, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Now, can you please tell us where did you find yourself when you cross over? Can you describe the surroundings with the place where you live at the moment? I understand you're punished and this is not place of your likings, but we would like to know how does it look like? How does it feel?
He says, the place I live at the moment is better than the one I was taken to. He says, the one I was taken to was like he says like what you would think of was a hospital for criminally insane.
Wow. Okay.
Like a madhouse, he says.
Okay.
Like a madhouse. He says the people he was put in within this place, he says it was like being locked into a madhouse.
So what has changed that suddenly you just said that you found yourself in a slightly better place? What happened?
He says the dark angels have made my life a living hell until I began to put my life in order.
Okay.
He says, and there is life after death. He says, there is no death. He says, so he wants to just repeat that again. He says he can't convince the atheists. He says, but for those that believe that there's more when you die, he says there is life after death. He says he's just confirming it for the people that have ears to hear.
Okay.
He says they're the ones that aren't going to listen to him. He says he doesn't care about it all. He says he's got no interest in them at all.
And the main message obviously is that if you are ready to redeem, you can still move on from the place, no matter how horrible, that you can make your surroundings, yourself, I mean, you can improve, basically.
He says yes. He says, but the journey upwards is far harder than the journey down. He's kind of joking, but he's not laughing. He says it sounds funny. He says it's easier down than a lot easier to go down than it is to get back up.
Yes, I understand. Yes, yes. So, where are you at the moment? Can you describe where are you?
He says I'm living in a home that I built with he's saying something, hold on. He says he's living in a home that he built with his mental powers.
Okay.
Is that a yes? Yes.
Okay. And where would you describe this home is located?
He says he'll call it the lower astral.
Okay.
The lower astral.
Lower astral. Okay. Do you see yourself moving away from that place somehow too? Somewhere even better?
If you just want a yes or no answer, he'll give you a yes answer. He's giving you a yes answer, but he could have given you more.
Okay, tell me more. Tell me more about it, please. Feel free,
Ask.
Esther. I don't know, asking him a question after question.
Okay.
Please, Esther, tell us, what sort of message have you got for people that are committing killings, crimes, you know? What would you like to say?
He says, when it comes to taking another life, it is a serious spiritual offense if you do so with your own, when you have a choice, when you have the choice not to. In other words, he says taking a life in self-defense is one thing,
Okay.
but taking a life by your choice, by your own free will, is entirely another.
Okay.
He says, and you will have to pay for it and answer for it in some form. He says, if you want to spiritually move anywheres, you know, you have to reconcile with it. You can't get past it.
I've got a question. Obviously, you killed because you wanted justice for what happened to you, and it sounds like you couldn't really help yourself. What can you tell us about justice? I mean, if you didn't do justice to the situation, do you think the justice would come to you somehow?
He says, if I didn't take others' lives, I would have He says, if I didn't take others' lives, I would have had a higher place in the, he's saying, in the astral realm,
Okay, but
in the spiritual realm, whatever you want to call it. He says he would have had a higher place
I
if he
understand.
didn't take those lives.
But what happened? Tell us about justice. Those men.
He's saying, it's going to take a minute to get this. I'm sorry to be taking.
That's okay.
I know what he was saying. I mean, with the tape running, it's hard for me to just.
That's okay. You can just repeat or whatever.
He's saying. What was the question? Because he had the whole answer.
I was talking about him telling us about the justice. He said if he didn't kill, he would go to higher realm. But I asked him, so how would justice be done? On the other hand, would these people be punished for, or if he didn't punish them? You know, that's what I wanted to find out.
He says justice in the spiritual world is a weight, like a weight, that has to be removed before you can move further on. It's like if you were weighted down here with something, trying to get something done, but you had weight on you. He says it's a weight. Like if you went into the ocean, you'd sink like a stone because of the weight. He says it's the same when you leave this earth plane into the spiritual realm. He says the injustices and things are like a weight, and you have to address them.
If you do something
to lift the weight, you have to address them before you can elevate yourself.
If you do something wrong, you won't be moving on anywhere until you have to do something with what you've done.
He says there's no time limit. He says you can stay stagnated forever. He says, and some people even go lower.
Okay.
He says some people he saw go lower than him.
Okay.
That were on the level when he got there went even lower. Became more evil.
We have to end this session right now because we're approaching 15 minutes allowed.
Okay.
So we just got to stop this at the moment.
He says he could go on. He's
yes,
got more
we will.
information
Yes, we will.
for you.
Thank you.